to make a presentation for you all. So we have her, she's a student.
Hi everyone, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome and wish you a very good morning. Thank you for taking the time to be here today as we discuss some of the implications of technology and collectively look for solutions. I stand before you today to talk about an issue that I care very deeply about, but also to share a message. Back in 2011, a girl in the United States of America featured in a music video in which she sang. The production company was based in Los Angeles, California, and she was only a tender 13 years old when this was uploaded on YouTube. At first, the reactions to her video were encouraging comments from friends and family. But after this video link was shared on an online comedy site, the view count slowly racked up from a few thousand to 100,000 to 167 million people. Now, this kind of viewership can be overwhelming for most, but what really brought this to the global stage was not the critical reception, but the excessive hate that passed off as critical reception. This girl received death threats and hate comments on the basis of her ability to sing, her personal appearance, and her voice. The slide before you shows just a sampling of a few comments that this video received. Now multiply this by the thousands to picture what a young girl sitting in her room was going through, all as she looked at this on her desktop screen. Now as we look at all of this, she also had to be homeschooled and had to drop out of school because of the effects of cyberbullying, because it carried forward into her school life. And the FBI was also involved in investigating some of these death threats. But how do we quantify what she went through emotionally? What stayed with me through all of this was the ability of a few individuals to exponentially multiply hate, all from behind the screen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is cyberbullying. This, however, is only one form of cyberbullying. The articles before you show that online cyberbullying can take various forms, and harassment can take various forms which compels teenagers to commit suicide or drive them to the brink of anxiety and depression. Behind each of these titles was a family who lost a loved one and grieved over their loved one. And often this happened without any prior notice or any indication. Have we lost our ability to empathize as a society when hate has become so established as a part of our online culture? I believe there's something fundamentally wrong in the way we are approaching technology today and the many liberties it offers. We often look at cyberbullying from the perspective of a person being bullied, about how someone simply succumbed to the pain. But when do we stop to look at the behavior of those very cyberbullies who sit behind a screen to upload these comments online? Here on the screen we see some of the most common forms of cyberbullying. Some of them are more implicit and some more explicit. This is by no means an exhaustive list, but simply some of the most common forms of cyberbullying experienced online. But what really drove me was to find out what compelled someone to leave these comments online. We see a lot of it on YouTube, on Facebook, and on various other platforms. But what leads someone to do this when they wouldn't normally do this in real life? I reached out to Dr. Sameer Hinduja and to quote him, "Technology is expanding the reach and harm of the age-old bully." Indeed it is, but the technology has also created a class of people who are emboldened behind a screen and who would say things that they wouldn't otherwise say in person. So in my endeavor to understand the causes behind it, I worked on a research paper and conducted a survey amongst the Indian population, the youth aged between 13 to 25 years old. This research essentially is aimed at understanding the causes and the mitigation of cyberbullying from a tech-oriented and mathematical perspective. The research has been published on the Social Science Research Network and was co-authored under the guidance of Dr. John Terman and Professor John Dorman at MIT. Before I proceed to the next slide, this is just some of our respondent platform presence. Clearly WhatsApp takes the lead, followed by Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, in that order, and several other platforms. Before I move to the next slide, I'd just like to throw open a question to the audience. Has anyone here ever personally experienced cyberbullying or seen someone known to them go through cyberbullying? Well, the survey says otherwise, and we had 19.2% of our respondents reporting to have experienced cyberbullying. If that isn't enough, there were nearly 72% of respondents who said they had known someone very close to them who had experienced the devastating effects of this issue. 8% of these respondents said that they had faced racism, and 6% said that they had received some kind of threats to safety. So in India, the nature of this cyberbullying varies from region to region. So you have grown men engaging in cyber stalking, and at the same time you have gangs of young girls and guys who really gain a lot from this. So its nature varies very greatly. Now before I proceed, I'd like to say that I'm not certain that the lack of education is at the root of this. From all our respondents, a lot of them felt that cyberbullying was a serious issue, but we still had 34% of them say that they had left a mean comment sometime in their lives. So clearly education is not at the root of this. Even within our own educational institutions, we see bullying happening all the time. And we do see cyberbullying, spreading of gossip, spreading of rumors, exclusion, isolation, and so many other forms. So clearly, there's something wrong in the way we're viewing our education today. Ours and is the knowledge we're imparting, in some way leaving a stone unturned in terms of the values we're imbibing. Here I have some of the comments that were left online and some of what our respondents said they experienced. This is not happening on another planet. This is in schools across Mumbai and in cities across India. There is a girl who is under the age of 13 who is in a coma since she attempted to commit suicide. There is a girl who posted a picture on Instagram of herself celebrating a religious ritual, and she was targeted by several online trolls. So after that, she refrained from ever going on social media, and when she did come back, she was always afraid to express herself. This may be very hard for us to relate to at this point and experience the same emotional pain and distress they did. But I guess that's again a side effect of the lack of empathy that our online world has created. Now, cyberbullying is not necessarily a bully in person. As seen in the previous slide, 68.4% of cyberbullies were not involved in bullying in person in any way, which means they resort to these kind of platforms to vent otherwise very negative emotions. We did ask our respondents some of the reasons for ever leaving a mean comment if they had left one, and I present the reasons in order of percentage. The person bullied you and you were defending yourself, dislike towards the person, to fit in with your friends, a feeling of power and superiority, and the freedom provided by anonymity. So these are just some of the many reasons that compel someone to cyberbully. As seen here, there are a lot of negative mental effects, and I'd just like to urge everyone to think a little before you ever post something online or share something, because it does have potentially hurtful and meaningful consequences for someone who may be at the receiving end. But in the midst of all this, in the midst of all the impacts it has on mental health, and if it's affecting so many teenagers, what do we do about it? The people who engage in it know it's a problem and they know it's hurting others. But how do we look at it from a tech-oriented perspective to finally put a stop to it? The first solution one might think of is the legal solution. But there's not always much scope for legal action, simply because a comment can be construed in a variety of different ways. And there's a lot of ambiguity in terms of the way a comment can be interpreted. While we can modify our laws slightly, it calls for a slightly interdisciplinary approach that can account for this ambiguity. A possible solution is to have an alert equation, where you're essentially equating profanities and racial slurs to a certain value and creating an alert system. Of course, this will have to factor in a number of different things, like the interaction between two people on the platform, blocking and other interactions, which will effectively help generate that value. The next comes the role of the technology ecosystem and netizens. Since technology ecosystem is kind of the breeding ground for cyberbullying, it's important that committees are formed maybe within a social media platform to monitor this. Because if we can't take direct legal action against the cyberbullies, which often isn't the best solution because they are very fragile within, so a right solution might be to have policymakers implement some kind of law that calls for social media platforms to have intra-organization committees that are closely monitoring cyberbullying, and so that we can effectively tackle it. This is a possible proposition. Of course, we always have to look at the compromise on freedom of speech and privacy and decide where we want to trade off. But a possible system is to have different alert zones, so that an instance of cyberbullying at least raises some sort of a red flag and isn't completely lost. Lastly, I'd just like to talk about a few solutions that cyberbullying could have. I think that looking at just one of these many aspects would help lessen but not effectively mitigate it. So I think it's important to look at technology, public health, education, and justice from a very holistic approach when we're looking at this problem. I know that a lot of us here have heard about cyberbullying and bullying in person, exclusion, isolation. It could be at a workplace, it could be at your educational institution. but I really want to urge you to stand up for it if you ever see it happening. And I'd really like to invite you to take a pledge to create a positive online culture. So please pledge not only to refrain from ever hurting someone online if it's anonymously or otherwise, but also pledge to stand up for someone if you see it happening. Which means you just stop to think for a moment the next time you're scrolling through YouTube and you see another hate comment or you see something like this happening on Facebook or other platforms. So please do stop to take action and pledge to reach out to someone who may need your help. Let's help establish kindness, because only if we establish it as the new norm and show that hate is not an establishment can we really take some action. So thank you so much for your time, and I do hope you'll join me in this initiative. We'll now be commencing with our panel discussion. I'd like to invite our panelists to the stage, and I'll be introducing them. Dr. Shilpa Agarwal is an Indian and Australian trained psychiatrist with advanced training and extensive experience in child and youth psychiatry. She has been working as a consultant child and adolescent psychiatrist across leading institutions in Australia and for the past few years, and is currently affiliated with Empower in Mumbai. She is passionate about improving public knowledge about mental health and is committed to optimization of mental wellness. She has published many scientific papers in the peer-reviewed journals in the field. She will be talking about mental health aspects of issues like cyberbullying. Next, we have Dr. Pooja Singh, who is presently working as Assistant Director of Health Services, Oral Health in the Directorate of Health Services, Mumbai Government of Maharashtra. She has been involved in planning, implementing and monitoring National Tobacco Control Program in 34 districts of Maharashtra. She has also had the experience of working in public health for over 15 years in the state government. She and her team have implemented revised National TB Control Program, National AIDS Control Program effectively in the state. She is an MBBS and MD in Community Medicine from Brown Medical College and JJ Group of Hospitals. Next we have Mr. Vishal Gondal. He is an extraordinary entrepreneur and the founder of Goki, which is a leading international company which offers coaching and fitness tracking services. He also founded India's leading gaming company, India Games, which he sold to Walt Disney in 2011. Goki counts some of the leading technology investors and shareholders. Mr. Gondal has expertise in the intersection of healthcare and technology, and we would love to hear his views on how he sees technology impacting health. In 2012, TechCircle.in included him in the 25 most powerful people in the Indian digital landscape. And in 2005, he was listed by Mobile Entertainment magazine as one of the top 50 executives in mobile content globally. Welcome. Mr. Anand Desai. Mr. Anand Desai is the president of Time Mumbai and the managing partner of the legal firm DSK Legal. Mr. Desai has extensive specialist experience in the field of banking laws, financial services, M&A, intellectual property rights, media and entertainment, real estate and outsourcing issues. Mr. Desai advises various large corporates, funds, and high net worth individuals on various and diverse issues. He's listed as one of the leading lawyers in India in the Who's Who Legal, an International Bar Association publication for commercial litigation, real estate, M&A and regulatory communication, and in Chambers Global PLC, which lawyer, IFLR, and Asia Pacific Legal 500. We look forward to his views on the legal dimension on the misuse of technology. Please give a round of applause for our panelists. Thank you, Dr. Pooja. We'll now be moving into a panel discussion, and soon after the floor will be open to questions from the audience. My first question is for Mr. Desai. How updated would you say the Indian law is when it comes to crucial aspects of social media abuse? And how are the law enforcement agencies perceiving cyberbullying as a concept?
So as I said earlier, the law typically develops after the problem occurs. That's the nature of law. It is developing, like I said, but cyberbullying is a very broad term because what may amount offensive to one person, they have no impact on another person. And that's where the problem comes in any legal issue. It has to be a cut and dry situation. There may be some subjectivity, but generally it has to be cut and dry. In terms of law enforcement, like I said, if a crime is made out, at least in Mumbai, where it's supposed to be from, we have a very good cyber cell, and there is distinct, clear possibility if the crime is committed from India, anywhere in India, it will be detected. If it's from outside, you can't do it.
My next question is for Dr. Pooja. Dr. Pooja, are there any experiences you'd like to share with us on when technology has been misused or had some kind of impact on mental health in the rural parts of India or the villages of India?
Technology, like in the rural parts of India, we did not get that many cases right now. But yes, from the urban, like the mobile and or the helpline, and we have many cases there. Okay, this helpline is run by the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and there are many calls, and most of the calls are by the parents. Okay, who seek help for their kids, and there are not much in the rural areas. Yeah, the problems are different. The problems are totally different. There are socio-economic problems in the rural areas. Not much related to technology right now that we have come across. But this is a very important. This is a growing trend now. It is there in the trend. So we have to be careful. And if any such problem is there, then please refer. Please come out. Okay, that is my appeal to all of you.
Thank you. So my question is to Mr. Gondal. Could you speak briefly maybe on the positive impact technology is having on our fitness and lifestyle? Maybe what are some of the trends you see, and how is social media driving us towards a more fitness-oriented lifestyle?
So as I said previously also, right, that social media is becoming an extension of your own self and your own life. It is almost becoming a parallel universe where you are living, which is why there are positives as well as negative aspects of everything. And I think just to focus on the positive aspects over here, today technology is going to empower you to do so many things. At one end we are talking about using technology to create social revolutions, and we know about the India against corruption and Egypt and all the things which are happening. And we also know how Twitter is now happening and how people are saying the next world war may start with a tweet, not by the nuclear missile. So I think the bottom line is that technology and tools are going to be there, and they will be the good and bad use. Coming specifically on the healthcare use case, I think one of the biggest challenges, and I'm sure Dr. here agrees, that in India, we are the capital of heart disease, diabetes, all these things, and the doctor-patient ratio is very low. There are not enough doctors, and there is no way we can produce enough doctors or make enough hospitals for all the people who are going to have these lifestyle challenges. So the only way to help and treat lifestyle challenges is to use technology and tools, what is offered by stuff like WhatsApp, Facebook, etc., where people could create groups within themselves or work with what we call coaches or primary healthcare workers on digital platforms to improve their life and improve their health. And the beauty is, a lot of these tools do exist. It's just that today the focus of a lot of the social networks per se has been entertainment. But the good news is a lot of them are now looking at alternate use cases because as they extend. So Facebook, Google has a huge investment, for example, on health. Google is probably spending billions of dollars on all kinds of new health initiatives. A number of tech companies are looking at health tech in a very, very big way. So we'll be seeing billions of dollars being invested on technologies which are going to make you healthier and emotionally much better. In fact, I know somebody who has recently created a very interesting app. That app can detect on your phone if you're depressed. That's it. It is basically, the algorithm can figure out your motion and movement, and they know what a movement of a normal person is and what a movement of a person who's depressed or likely to be depressed is. Or they could look at your behavior on social media and look at other things and detect these kind of things and send that data to experts. So the good thing is, there are all kinds of sensors which are coming in within your phone as well as within using big data services, which are going to be used for the positive aspects. Of course, these same sensors and same big data can be used to identify cyberbullies and kick them out. I think one of the things is you have to understand that please report people who cyberbully, because once any social media gets input that a person has been reported 4 times, their accounts get blocked. And you know that's already happening, and all social media companies are doing it. So I think that is most important.
My next question is for Dr. Agarwal. As a mental health professional, what's your message to educators and the students seated here, and how is the mental health community coping with the growing menace of cyberbullying and misuse of social media?
Alright, I'll take the second question first and then go on to what are the measures that can be used. As far as the mental health community is concerned, I think there are a lot of positive aspects of technology that were just mentioned that can be tapped into to make mental health practices and mental health support system available to everybody and reach out. So we have got a lot of, for example, WhatsApp groups, support groups happening for mental health. There are depression groups. There are groups for victims of cyberbullying. In addition to that, there are some specialized clinics that have been set up, especially for example, for internet addiction. There is a specialized clinic that has been set up at AIMS. And these are some of the initiatives that are just starting to come into picture now, and it would take a bit of time for it to spread out and reach out to everybody, but at least it's a good start. In addition to that, there are other apps, as was just mentioned, that there are apps which can actually pick up and which can help in diagnosing depression. Of course, it is not going to be 100% accurate, but similarly, there are other apps. One of the apps that I was reading about is Rethink, where when the message is being sent, if somebody is sending an offensive message, some of the bad words get picked up, and the person who's sending the message, that person is encouraged to go over the message again and think twice before posting it out on the internet. So these are some of the initiatives that are there. Not as I digressed from the mental health initiatives to some of the general initiatives that need to be tapped into by the mental health community so far. They haven't been tapped into, but they need to be tapped into in future. So those are some of the things that are happening. In addition to that, when I'm working at Empower now, which is a child and adolescent mental health center. So we run specialized services for young people who are going through some mental health concerns, and we make sure that if somebody is presenting to us, we are very sensitive towards these issues, and we definitely make it a point to screen everybody who walks into our center for any bullying that could be happening, cyber or even physical form of bullying. Coming to the next point, how can we make people who are sitting here more aware, or how can we, one, prevent it from happening and make them more aware if at all it is happening? I think the first point is to be sensitive and to have the basic etiquettes very clear of using any technology or using any cyberspace. So that goes back to the time we start using it, and it goes back to the time when it needs to be incorporated very well in the education system, starting from that point on. In addition to that, I think there could be clear telltale signs that I just mentioned about. If there has been a change in the behavior, change in the pattern of the use as far as technology is concerned, if somebody is becoming very fearful to use their cell phones or go on their social media account, or in the friends group, if somebody else has picked up that there has been some bullying going on, I think it is important to acknowledge it, recognize it, and offer support and offer help, because there is help available.
It's actually interesting that you mentioned Rethink, because I read about the app as well, and they actually had a turnaround of about 94 to 97%.
Yeah.
Wherein the people actually reconsidered what they were posting.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great solution. That being said, the floor is now open to the audience. If you have a question, you may rise and maybe give a short brief introduction and address it to one of our panel. And we now have a final concluding note.
I'd like to present a certificate of achievement to Ananya for putting this together.